It's an absolute mess. And essentially, you have the situation of Sergio Mattarella coming out just a few minutes ago and making this announcement about how he has decided to dissolve Parliament. He sounded very serious. He sounded very frustrated as well. He said the decision in which to dissolve Parliament is not something that is your first choice. Honestly, it's the last choice, especially the mandate of this government was expected to run all the way to the spring of 2023. But he said that especially also that this parliament has so many things to approve, as you mentioned earlier, the very budget for the country to function in the coming months. So you're going to have a situation now that essentially there's no working government in charge. There has to be these elections that are going to be taking place. Most suggest, as you mentioned, in the month of September. The situation is serious, he says, and he hopes that people will step forward to make the right contributions for the sake of the country. He thanked Mario Draghi as well for the work that he's done, but he made it very clear there isn't any time to waste. And he stressed, aside from the effect of high inflation as well as the high energy prices and how that's impacting families in Italy as well as businesses in Italy. There's also the issue of the war in Ukraine and the security for Italy and of the European region as a whole and the impact that the war is happening. So it's really a lot of issues, as we all know, but it appears very clear now. Parliament's dissolved. There is a cabinet meeting. The government in place, the caretaker government led by Mario Draghi, will have to decide on the details of how to go forward in terms of the date and, of course, the practicalities of putting together an election campaign.
I mean, the crux of this is, Seema, the refusal of the three parties to essentially go forward with a confidence vote for Mario Draghi. Walk us through what more we know about those parties and how much of an impact they can have ultimately.
Well, it's the two right-leaning parties, Forza Italia, as well as the far-right League Party led by Matteo Salvini, and of course the populists, the Five Star Movement. Now, they originally decided to snub Draghi's vote of confidence a week ago, and then 1 week later, it's these three parties together. Now, the right-wing parties are really the ones that have the most to gain, because in terms of the polls, the party that is leading is the Brothers of Italy party, and they're the ones which most likely will form a coalition with the other right parties and would most likely win an election as a coalition. Now, it's interesting to note, many observers have pointed this out. The Forza Italia, led by former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi. Mr. Berlusconi was known in the past to have a very close relationship with the Russian President, Vladimir Putin. Then you have Matteo Salvini. He opposed the EU sanctions against Russia when there was the annexation of Crimea. And then you have the Five Star Movement, Giuseppe Conte, its leader, not wanting to send military aid to Ukraine or wanting to limit that was one of the Five Star Movement's points against the government of Mario Draghi. So these three parties, and on the other side, you had Mario Draghi, who was very supportive of the Ukrainians in this war and has also achieved a good relationship with the Ukrainian president. So it's interesting to note that it's those parties that have in the past been less hostile towards Vladimir Putin that seem to have brought down this government of Mario Draghi.